A significantly shorter events calendar released for independence celebrations this year. The impact of Tropical Storm Erica forces Dominica to review its tourism marketing plan. And the head of the traffic department announces a zero-tolerance policy towards vagrancy during the tourist season. I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. The details coming up. First stop in the news, the scaled-down calendar of independence activities has formally been released to the public. Andrea Louis has more.
Following the passage of Tropical Storm Erica in August, Prime Minister Skerrit announced that government would divert resources towards the rebuilding of the country. Hence, independence activities would be less grand this year. Chairman of the Independence Committee says the immense damage caused by the tropical storm had forced the committee to review its initial calendar of events.
Some of the activities which were cancelled include the cultural competitions across the island, Heritage Day, the school's athletics events, and the pageants, the Miss Warp Duet, the Madame Warp Duet, and the Team Matador. Some of the main reasons cited for these cancellations were that the road network and bridge situation is still very challenging for movement of groups and individuals, that 4 out of the 7 districts in Dominica were seriously devastated by the storm, and many of the cultural group members were still sorting out and rebuilding their own lives, homes, and communities, that some of the venues where cultural competitions are usually held were damaged, and some of the playing fields across the island were compromised.
Market Day with a Difference is scheduled for Saturday, 17th October in Marigot, 24th October in Portsmouth, and 31st October in Roseau. The cultural season, however, will start off with the Days of Prayer over the weekend.
The program will open this weekend with the National Days of Prayer on Saturday, October 10th and Sunday, October 11th. And before that, we have the E.O. Leblanc Memorial Lecture to be held at the Fortune Hotel tomorrow night, Thursday, October the 8th.
Creole Board La Mer will take place on Sunday, 1st November, while the National Youth Rally will be held on Monday, 2nd November at the Windsor Park Stadium. Some other staple features of the Independence cultural season have remained.
Independence 2015 continues with the Creole Dress Parade on October 30th, Journée Creole, from 10:30 a.m. through the streets of Roseau. We will be celebrating the sweet sound of the steel pan at various locations in Roseau on Saturday, October 30th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The National Cultural Gala will be held at the Botanic Gardens in Roseau from 3 p.m. on November 3rd. The gala is the highlight of the independence activities when all groups from all over the island converge on one stage to display their talents in the varied manifestations of Dominica's rich cultural heritage.
The Independence Day Parade will take place on Tuesday, 3rd November at 8 a.m. at the Windsor Park Stadium. Journée Coup de Mer will be on Wednesday, 4th November, island-wide. Dominica is celebrating its 37th anniversary of independence under the theme, Rebuilding Dominica Together.
And Tropical Storm Erica has dealt an over $51 million blow to the island's tourism industry, and tourism authorities now have to review the country's marketing plan. Here's more.
Estimates by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency indicate that Storm Erica left over $51 million in damage on tourism. Notwithstanding, 77 out of 88 accommodations are operational and 30 of 35 tour and water sports operators are ready for business, while access to major sites and attractions have been restored.
I, as an individual, who has run companies and who understands when you have these major issues that everything will be affected. As the Prime Minister said, and for the World Bank report, you're looking at $1.2 billion that the government has to find. So the government really has to relook at all what it has to do.
The marketing budget allocated to the Ministry of Tourism for the new financial year was $6 million. That reflected an increase in the marketing budget following the passing of the national budget in July.
We, as a proactive organization, what we will do is to relook, and as Mr. Piper said, is to relook and to redo our marketing plan to ensure that we know exactly who we're going to tackle with, hopefully, with maybe a little bit less money. However, if we get the full amount, it would be fantastic. But we have to be mindful, and we are preparing to operate with a little bit less, but at the same time ensuring that we get the best bang for our buck. So take for example, we know that Leah doesn't have as many flights as they used to have, which means that your numbers from coming in by air will be affected. So we now have to ensure that the persons coming in through the port will be not affected or get more persons to come through the port.
Meantime, Tourism Director Colin Piper said now that the country is in the rebuilding mode, Discover Dominica Authority will be taking a more aggressive approach in promoting the destination.
We now need to let the world, we now need to change the perception, we need to change the tide from images of devastation, which are causing people to ask whether they should come to Dominica, whether they should change their bookings and not come to Dominica. We need now to reassure people that if they do come to Dominica, they're going to get the same friendly experience, they're going to get the same wonderful and unique experience as it relates to some of our natural sites. We believe that 8 to 10 weeks after the passing of the natural disaster is when we can go into full-fledged promotion. We believe that it would not be in good taste at this point in time to quote-unquote exploit what has been happening.
The new head of the traffic department is vowing to demonstrate a zero-tolerance policy towards vagrancy during the tourist season.
The Small Charges Act of Dominica provides for offenses punishable with fines no more than $4,000. That act speaks to both vagrancy and begging as offenses. Section 49(1) on vagrancy states that any person being able wholly or in part to maintain himself by work or by other means and willfully refusing or neglecting to do so shall be deemed an idle and disorderly person and is liable to imprisonment for 1 month. ASP Matthew Coffey says even the paros, as they're locally referred to, will feel the brunt of the law.
Vagrancy is a criminal offense, and if it is being committed in our view, it is also an arrestable offense. So I will be very strict towards that area. I do not want the vagrants harassing the tourists, and also those who have the intention to commit any criminal act towards the tourists. We are very serious in that regard. We are saying no to that.
Since vagrants are looked at as people who are not in their right mind, you would think that they could be let off the hook. Well, even in their case, it appears ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
I'm not in a position to determine as to whether you are of sound mind or not. And I'm saying if an offense has been committed in your view, the law makes provision for you to take certain action as a police officer. And then if you are to protect the tourists, which is our main industry, we have to take certain measures to do that. And if you'll be surprised, some of the vagrants are very knowledgeable. If you speak with them, they are aware of what they're doing. So even if it's for the season itself, we must send a strong message to the vagrants that they should not. I will not tolerate vagrants and harassing the tourists at all.
A national subcommittee on vagrancy was formed in 2013 comprising the Ministry of Health, Police Force and Social Welfare Division to outline various options for getting vagrants out of the city, especially during tourist season. Recommendations were presented to Cabinet 2 years ago. In December 2013, then Tourism Minister Ian Douglas told us in an interview that Cabinet asked the committee to go back to the drawing board with that Cabinet paper since it was not comprehensive enough. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Helen Royer, told Channel 5 News on Wednesday that clarity was being sought on some matters and no new decision has been handed down. Tourism Minister Robert Tong told the media recently he was aware of those measures. He says his ministry will work with police to deal with vagrants during the tourist season. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
On to the Ministry of Agriculture now, where officials say a $50,000 white potato project is timely after the impact of Erica on the island's agriculture.
On Wednesday, stakeholders in the Ministry of Agriculture signed on to the Canadian Propel project with the World University Service of Canada, WUSC, for white potato production. The Minister of Agriculture calls this investment in white potatoes a major boost for Dominica.
We've been collaborating closely with the Ministry of Trade in sourcing the high-end markets that we've been speaking about, and this improved elite quality planting material for white potatoes, it's going to fit into our program. We are looking at the expansion of the market share. We are looking at increased export, the transportation factor. All of these factors are being looked into, and Erica will not daunt our effort in this respect.
Director of Agriculture Ricky Bruman says this project will bring renewed technology and genetic material to the sector.
We are looking firstly this year for new seed materials. We have never before been able to bring in such high quality material, and that is a very good thing for the industry outlook. This year we will bring in certainly elite seed material, and this will certainly increase our yield capacity.
The normal potato production yield is approximately 300,000 pounds. They intend to produce much more given the capacity of the new genetic material. Bruman says the intention is to reduce losses. Director of WUSC says following the storm, the NGO decided to take on the entire investment.
What we're signing is literally one small part of that. It's the investment in the seed, importing the seeds. And originally the idea was that Propel would support the gap between the type of seed that the government's traditionally imported and a better quality seed to get improved quantities, qualities, and better product. Also more likely to be disease-free, so less prone to those sort of issues.
The Division of Agriculture, in addition to the seed material, will provide farmers with plowing services and training. Farmers will receive seed material in November 2015.
And back to Independence now, where this year's Community Service Day or Community Day of Service, or Journée Coup de Main, will focus on cleaning and beautification.
National Day of Community Service is a day when members of the community come together and undertake road rehabilitation and infrastructure development projects around the area. From 2010 to 2012, the government of Dominica had taken a decision to focus on cleaning and beautification for that 3-year period. In 2013 and 2014, the country had reverted to fixing roads, buildings, and other structures on the day of service. This year, however, as a result of damage caused by the passage of the tropical storm and money allotted to local government for the procurement and distribution of construction supplies being redirected to recovery efforts, the country will now focus on cleaning and beautification on 4th November.
Erica did create a new platform for us, and so there are a number of changes that we have to grapple with. For National Day of Community Service, the emphasis will be on cleanup and beautification. We have to continue the cleanup effort and continue to beautify our beloved country. So I really want to call on everyone, all stakeholders, the private sector, the public sector, individuals, families, community-based groups, to turn out in large numbers to do what we know how to do best.
Fontaine says some communities have already started the cleanup effort immediately following the storm, but there is still much more work to be done.
The cleaning effort has started. In many communities, persons are trying to restore water, assisting Dawasco and assisting themselves by creating, trying to bring water closer to their homes. And the cleaning of drains and so on continues, the clearing of landslides, especially in communities like Dalis and Waitika, who were cut off or still cut off from the rest of the island.
Dominicans are being encouraged to come out and support other activities which are on the Independence calendar.
It will really be Market Day with a difference in those 3 locations, because preceding Erica we had dry periods, and so our expectation with produce might be something to look forward to. However, we are encouraging the farmers, the vendors, the many persons who participate in Market Day with a Difference, showing what they have to offer to the rest of the country, to come out in large numbers and participate in Market Day with a Difference.
You're watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, we'll show you the newest Bailey Bridge to open up here, including sports, weather, and our first installment of Flashback. All coming up. The recently appointed police officer at the helm of the traffic department says he's ready to make that division what it is supposed to be.
Assistant Superintendent of Police Matthew Coffey, a lead investigator from the Criminal Investigations Department, is the new man in charge of the Traffic Department. He takes over from Inspector Robertson Laura, who has been transferred to CID. Coffey spent 3/4 of his 28-year police career in criminal investigations. His appointment took effect on September 28. He says night patrols in the city are one of the aspects that have been discussed.
We have our ideas, we have plans, and we are looking forward to really make traffic what it's supposed to be. Generally, I would like to see a larger police presence in the city of Roseau. I think that is a little area for improvement. And there have been police officers in the city, but I think we can put 1 or 2 more officers, especially at certain points. We have certain key areas where you get a little bottleneck in the traffic, especially at the rush hour in the mornings. So we're trying to address these areas.
A new highway maintenance tax took effect on the 1st of September, and Coffey says there should be no excuse for paying taxes, not even with the passage of Storm Erica.
The country has to move on, and then the government depends on the taxes to pay people like myself. So I will be looking at this thing seriously and ensure that everybody pay his or her taxes. Persons have been paying the taxes, the extra $100 to their vehicle licenses and so on. Yes, that have taken effect.
And the third Bailey Bridge opened to traffic on Tuesday.
The Makoshri Bailey Bridge was installed on the weekend. The projected date for installation was September 25. However, challenges pushed the target date back. Since the installation of the bridge at Makoshri, the route along the old Rum Factory Bridge has been closed. 2 sections of the Eolibda Highway at Makoshri have collapsed due to Storm Erica's impact. The first of 4 Bailey bridges was put up at Point Round en route to Portsmouth earlier in September, with another being installed at Bartley to connect to Kulibistri. The Barbados-based NSG Management and Technical Services Limited is responsible for the bridging equipment, while engineers from the Dutch Army initially helped with the plan to fit the bridges. The last Bailey Bridge will be installed at Boetica, but not until a bypass is created. Works are ongoing to that end. Prime Minister Skerrit was expected to visit that project on Thursday. The damage to roads and bridges as a result of Storm Erica exceeds $612 million. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
In other news now, the Solid Waste Management Corporation will soon embark on a project to reduce the quantity of plastics accumulating at the Fonkole landfill.
Public Relations Officer of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, Geno Jacobs, says following the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, they have seen an overwhelming volume of plastic at the landfill. Jacobs says they've met with government and other stakeholders to put in place a plan to collect and dispose of plastics.
We are fortunate in that Josephine Gabriel and company, when Coca-Cola changed from the bottles, breakable bottles, to plastic bottles, they funded a plastic shredder, and which is now housed at the landfill. And this plastic shredder will be soon commissioned and will be used for shredding plastics into pellet for shipment overseas. We already have a market in Barbados where this market is waiting for us to shred those plastics and ship those plastics, shredded plastics, to that market, that particular market in Barbados. So we are in a way doing a pilot program to ensure that we are able to collect volumes of plastics to ship to that market.
Jacobs says a waste characterization study done in 2002 indicated that the corporation was receiving 12% plastic at the landfill. The number has since increased to 17%. He says very soon they will be going to various communities to specifically collect plastic material.
On October 17th, collection will be done in the northwest of the island, the west on the 24th, the following Saturday, the northeast. Portsmouth will be done on the first Saturday in November. Jacob says special vehicles have been assigned to execute these pickups.
And one physically challenged individual from the Petit Savan community who left her wheelchair behind during the evacuation has received a new one, compliments the Dominica Association of Disabled People.
The DAPD had teamed up with the Association of Disabled Persons in Guadeloupe to make this donation possible. The Guadeloupe-based organization also donated Pampers, wheelchairs, food, water, and other relief items to the DAPD.
It is very important for me to come Dominica for distribution. It is association for disabled people and the children of Alpha Center. It is a good program for Association Apache Guadeloupe in association the disabled people and the Alpha Center put together and to do something positive for them children, for them people, for everybody.
Executive Director of the DAPD says the tropical storm had impacted its members around the island.
We know that there are some of our members in the West who are in need of assistance. We have members in the Southeast who are in need of assistance. Of course, we have members from Petit Savan and other places around Dominica. So this donation, this relief supply will be, distributed to them primarily.
Charlene Charles's original chair is still in Petit Savan as the family is unable to bring that wheelchair down to Roseau. Charlene's mother says the family is slowly adjusting to life in the city.
As you all know, Erica did great havoc in our village. Everybody had to get to the other side. Now we turn Roseau girl, Roseau boy, Roseau lady, because I know it's not easy. It wasn't easy at all at the beginning, but as time goes, we are getting a little better. We sleep better, we eat a little better, and it was not easy at all. But the only thing I want to say is, when you have a disabled, when you have people with disability, it's not easy, because the day it wasn't easy at all for us. Because we had to handle two disabled people on our side. That is Margot. That is where we were living in the village of Petit Savan.
This is Channel 5 News. Your sports highlights next with Andrea Louis.
In sports, West Indies captain Jason Holder said that the fate of suspended head coach Phil Simmons lay with Phil and the board, but added that he had been a wonderful inspiration during his brief time in charge. Holder hoped for a swift resolution that would allow Simmons to return to the squad in Sri Lanka after his position was put in limbo when he expressed discontent over West Indies' ODI squad for the tour. Simmons has since apologized for his remarks, but has been asked to answer for breaches of confidentiality by the WICB and is currently awaiting an HR hearing. The timing of Simmons' suspension is problematic for West Indies, coming just days before the squad was scheduled to assemble in Sri Lanka and less than 3 weeks before the first test. Simmons was appointed West Indies coach in March, and the Sri Lanka tour would have been his first international foray with the outfit. It is also Holder's first assignment as Test captain. In more cricket, the West Indies' 3-day match against the Sri Lanka Cricket Presidents 11 has been pushed back by 1 day. The match was scheduled to start on Thursday but will now begin on Friday and continue on Saturday and Sunday. This is due to rain, which has left the outfield wet. West Indies will use the match as preparation for the 2-match test series against Sri Lanka. The first test is scheduled to be played from October 14th to 18th, while the second test is scheduled for October 22nd to 26th. The winners will be awarded the Sobers Tissera Trophy in honor of West Indies icon Sir Garfield Sobers and Michael Tissera, the former Sri Lanka captain. The squad reads Jason Holder, captain, and Craig Brathwaite, vice-captain. Other players are Devendra Bishu, Jermaine Blackwood, Carlos Brathwaite, Darren Bravo, Rajendra Chandrika, Shane Dorich, Shannon Gabriel, Shai Hope, Dinesh Ramdin, Kimar Roach, Marlon Samuels, Jerome Taylor, and Jomel Warrican. And in domino news, the Kubuli Chebe Sao League saw Martian with 75 dose 3 points, Unbreakable 75 dose 2 points, and Striker 75 dose 1 point. Martians won Game 1 by fours. Game 2 had Attackers with 90 dose 3 points, Giants 66 dose 2 points, and Melvinas 60 dose 1 point. Tuesday night's games ended with Homeboys and Rabbit Hole having 3 points each. That's all the time we have for sports. Join us next time.
And now our first installment of what will be a weekly segment, Flashback.
Welcome to Flashback, where we take you way back into the history of news in Dominica. In the news on this date, October 7th, 1999, a Dominican national and his associates celebrated victory when their perseverance to save and restore the Barracoon building on the bayfront in Roseau was deemed a success.
Dr. Honeychurch recalled how he became unpopular in 1989 when he fought to preserve the old Barracoon building.
I fought for this building to be maintained rather than being smashed down for the post office to be constructed here. That was the original plan. The post office, this was going to be bulldozed and the post office was going to be here. By persuasion and writing letters to the press and persuading other people to talk to the people who had the authority, luckily the post office was shifted here, and now we have this wonderful building to use as it is being used now for the first time since the renovations. We're using it in this way. And I'm sure that the mayor, as we talked earlier, is keen to use it in many other ways for the citizens of Roseau.
Today, the Barracoon building stands well maintained and now houses the High Court Civil Division and the Roseau Town Council. Good job, Dr. Lennox Honeychurch. I am Janik Delmar Samuel. Join us next week Wednesday and every Wednesday for a peek into Dominica's most interesting news events from the past.
A tropical wave is expected to head our way. That and more in your weather report. Next.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I will be your presenter for this evening, Farah Rock Career. Let's take a look now at some earlier infrared satellite imagery, and what it showed is convection associated with a tropical wave which is affecting the area. We move on now to some earlier visible satellite imagery. It showed most of the convective clouds to the northeast of the islands and also to the islands south of Dominica. Earlier radar imagery confirms the shower activity associated with those convective clouds to the southern portion of Lesser Antilles and also to the northeast of the islands. The weather tonight is expected to be cloudy with showers and isolated thunderstorms. Residents in areas prone to flooding, landslides, and falling rocks, please exercise caution. These conditions will persist into tomorrow. The marine conditions will be moderate and waves are expected to be up to 7 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers, please do exercise caution. The 24-hour projection puts the tropical wave axis over the Virgin Islands with activity affecting the Lesser Antilles. What can we expect for the next 3 days? Some cloudy skies with some showers and isolated thunderstorms for Thursday and Friday, and an improvement is expected by Saturday. Also, some increase in wind speeds are expected Friday into Saturday. The rest of the Caribbean can expect some cloudy skies with some showers and isolated thunderstorms, and that is due to the tropical wave which I mentioned earlier. The international CD forecast, fair to partly cloudy skies expected over New York, London, Caracas, and Beijing, with the exception of Miami, with some cloudy skies and thunderstorms expected. The sun will rise tomorrow at 5:56 a.m. and set at 5:50 p.m. Please remember we are in the hurricane season. For updated weather information, visit our website at wed7thOct2k15News or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Join us tomorrow evening for our next weather broadcast. Thank you.
And that's news. The headlines again: a significantly shorter events calendar released for independence celebrations this year. The impact of Tropical Storm Erica forces Dominica to review its tourism marketing plan. And the head of the traffic department announces a zero-tolerance policy towards vagrancy during the tourist season. A reminder, you're watching Channel 5 News. You can also watch this newscast on YouTube. We value your feedback, so email us at news@marklin2k4.com. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.